Good afternoon. Kevin Gay again with the Modern Outdoorsman Tip of the Day. A lot of people, when they come to our classes, they want to know, what is a survival knife? First thing I'm going to say is, a survival knife is something that meets your needs. There's a lot of experts out there that design knives, a lot of experts out there that tell you that this is the right knife. No, this is the right knife you have to have. This is the right knife. You know what? I really think that there are various different knives for various different situations. Myself, whenever I go deep into the woods on a long hike or a long hunting trip, I'll carry a penknife in my pocket. I carry my trusty pocket knife that I can use with one hand. That's very, very important because your other hand may be incapacitated. I carry my Leatherman. And then I also carry my large knife that I depend on all the time, which is an Ontario 12-inch machete. It was actually made as a survival machete for pilots. And it's sold now as they call it a camp machete now. But it's made by the Ontario Knife Company, U.S., spring blade. I can pretty much do anything I want to do with it. It takes a real good edge. I can actually shave with it whenever I put a good edge on it. And I can cut, hack, saw, whatever I want to do with it. So we'll take a look at this in a minute. First off, like I said, I like to carry my little Leatherman tool with me because it has all kinds of different blades on it, and you can never have too many different sharp blades, or you may have the need for a pair of pliers and even cutting wire if you're making a noose or a snare or something like that. So I like to carry that. I also like to carry my Swiss Army knife. This one actually I found it on the bank in Alaska as we were canoeing out at Red Shirt Lake, and it's been with me ever since. I like it because it really takes a sharp edge. I don't do a lot of everyday cutting with this. As a matter of fact, I don't do any. I save it in case I have to do something like remove a splinter from my hand or my arm or something like that. It's a good clean blade, very, very sharp, and also the Swiss Army knife has a lot of other attachments on there that you can use. This I carry in my Possibles bag that's on my hip all the time. This is my trusty Kershaw knife. It's called the Boa. And the reason why I like this one, aside from the fact that my lovely wife gave it to me for our anniversary present 1 year, I can operate it with one hand. Very critical, because if I damage this hand and I can't open it, I need to be able to open it with one hand. This knife is very, very sturdy. I can actually cut and chop with it as well. I can actually put it up on some limbs and hack my way through if I need to, and I'll show you that in just a minute here. But it has two methods. It's spring assisted. I can use my index finger to open it, or it also has a thumb stud. Okay. Now, you don't need to have a spring-assisted knife in order to have a thumb stud on there to be able to open it. Just, you want to have a thumb stud or some other method of opening it with one hand, just in case of an emergency situation. Here's another knife that is plain Jane. Okay, made by the United Knife Company. It's got an actual screwdriver or pry bar on the back. It's pretty stout little knife. It's got the Tonto tip on it, which is one of the strongest tips there are. It's very thick, so I can actually use it, and I can beat on the back of it with baton and drive it through something else as well. Most importantly, I know that the blade runs all the way back through the handle. Okay, the tang goes all the way back through the handle, so I know it's not going to be breaking on me right here. It's not held by a rivet or anything like that, which would be a weak point. All right, very, very light and efficient knife. Just I keep it in my small survival kit for emergencies. Some other knives that I'd like to talk about is that this is my wife's personal hunting knife. As you can see, it is thick on the spine here and runs all the way back through the blade. I actually selected this for her for that very reason, because it does take a good edge, and it has a partially serrated edge on it right here. Because whenever your regular edge goes dull, and unless you know how to sharpen it, this will pretty much always stay sharp for you. It's a good alternative for cutting rope and other things that you might need. Very, very nice knife made by Gerber. I really like it. And I do not think that this would fail. She could actually take it and as well as use a wooden baton, pound it through other types of wood if she needs to, or split small logs with it. All right. Here's another knife that I have. This knife stays on my web gear. It does not go out for survival purposes, although it would be a good survival knife. has the Tonto tip on it so that it will not break easily. It actually has a serrated edge on it as well, and it's a very thick blade, and it runs again all the way back through the handle, and it has a little bit of a hammer right here and pry bar. But this one is ergonomically made. Evidently they claim to fame on this Columbia knife is that they had surgeons actually design the handle on it, and it fits really, really nice. This would make a good survival knife as well, but as I said, it stays on my web gear and does really not see much field use at all. Here's another knife. Believe it or not, this is a $9.99 knife from Cheaper Than Dirt. It's made overseas in China. And if you have ever went to knifetest.com, you will see that this knife actually outperformed some $400 knives. For $10, you cannot beat this whatsoever. You can hack, chop. It's got a thick spine on it, and it goes all the way back through the handle. Now, one thing I have noticed about this knife is that on some of the others that I have for the students is that the handle comes loose. However, it does not affect the performance whatsoever. The only thing that it does is make a little bit of an annoying rattling noise. But it does let you know that the handle comes all the way back through the tang, or the tang comes all the way back through the handle. So it is not riveted right here. It's a very, very sound, strong blade. And I've done a lot of chopping with it, and actually even thrown these, practicing with them. And it holds up quite well. Some people prefer possibly to carry some sort of a camp hatchet or a tomahawk. I like a tomahawk because it is weight forward. If you have never ever used one, I would encourage you to use one. Give it a try at least. And also this one throws pretty well, so it's a lot of fun. Students actually have a good time with it. This is the TMO Hawk, and it was actually cut down from a regular camp hawk from a 1940s blade, so it's a good blade, and it comes in very, very handy. This is a Ontario machete, spring steel, like the other one that I have. It's a very good cutter, very handy. I like the fact that it guards my fingers right here so that nothing will happen to my fingers if I miss my target and I hit forward, and so that way I won't skin them up. It's an excellent blade. It really is. It's lasted through a lot of our troops using them all over the world, and I can't recommend a better machete. This is what they call a Gurkha blade, designed for the Gurkha regiment over in Nepal, and it is also a weight forward blade. Now I have tried it myself, and I like it, but not as good as what I like my 12-inch machete. It's a little bit heavier. This is much lighter. Both of them are as strong. This does have a very thick spine on it, okay, and it does run all the way back through the handle, which you can see. So it will take a licking and keep on ticking, and it does hack pretty good. And you just got to learn how to use it. It takes a good edge. There's a lot of people out there that absolutely swear by them, and they really like them and stake their life on them. This one here is a standard issue pilot survival knife. This one actually was given to me by a good friend of mine who spent his several tours of Vietnam, and he gave this to me, and I carried this all through Alaska, using it as a knife on various different things. And you know, it's a really, really good knife. It'll stand up to a lot of hacking, chopping, cutting, sawing, anything that you need to really do with it, prying, a little bit of prying with it. It's a good all-around knife. And I know that, again, the spine goes all the way back through the end, because you can see where it's bent over to hold the butt, which actually holds all the leather washers right here. Now this one here, I just kind of happened to come about this mistakenly, but this is the bayonet for an AK-47 styled weapon. On knifetest.com, it actually stood up some pretty good damage, but not as much as the M9, which is the American version of the bayonet. And you know, it actually goes all the way back through the handle as well. Theirs is only sharpened on one side, as opposed to Americans, we sharpen on both sides typically. Once again, a survival knife is what you want it to be. Don't let anybody tell you that your survival knife is not good enough for you. You really want to look for a survival knife that actually is going to be tough enough to withstand up to chopping, to hacking, to digging, if you have to dig with it, if you have to pry some with it. Of course, it's not a pry bar, okay? No knife is a pry bar. But you want something that's going to withstand that. If it's riveted right here to the handle, you don't want it, I promise you, because it's going to break on you sooner or later. You also want one that's going to carry a decent edge on it. They can actually sharpen up pretty sharp, all right? Again, like I said, my favorite is for the large jobs is the 12-inch Ontario machete. I've customized it a little bit myself, but the reason why I like it is that you can use it for trimming up some of your limbs, going right down through them. Although you could take the very same knife from Cheaper Than Dirt and do the same thing with it. That's what you want your survival knife to be able to do, things like that. Also, you want to be able to take your survival knife use it as a tool, and this Cheaper Than Dirt knife, we're going to go ahead and show you what a good survival knife should probably do for you. If you need to hack and cut through something. Now, when would you be pounding on a knife like that? Well, if you had nothing else to cut that stick and you wanted to cut it right there. Or if you're cutting notches to make snares and traps. Okay? Or if you're taking a piece of wood and you want to be able to split it. Now, I'm going to use my favorite knife for this, which is right. This place didn't it? Here it is. Okay. Right here. See, we got a pretty good little chunk of wood here. Say if we're making a fire and we want to be able to start our fire, no problem with this thing. It's going to hack it right through it for me. All right. If anything, it's going to hurt my fingers more than anything. Right there where it caught me. But nothing to it. We'll readjust a little bit, give it a whack right there, and we can split right through it. Okay? No damage to our blade. Spring steel, it bounces back. All right? Again, take like this Cheaper Than Dirt knife. Same thing. If this is all that you have, all right? Just because a knife is expensive doesn't mean it's a good knife. And if you want to understand what I'm talking about, go to knifetest.com and watch their demonstrations on there. Now, are you going to put your knives through the damage of what they do? No, you're not. Okay? This is probably going to be some of the most damaging things you're actually going to put your knife through, like this, right? Okay? But that's what you want to be able to use it for. Things like that. And know that it's going to stand up to it, being able to split some wood. There you have it. A lot of people will ask me before they come to class, what makes a good survival knife? Me, myself, I would not want a blade any shorter than this right here, and this is about 4.5 inches long. Preferably, I would want a blade that approximately 6.5 to 7 inches long, is what this is. That's why I like to carry this one here. I don't always carry it, but if I'm going deep into the woods, hiking, hunting, or something like that, it's lightweight. Matter of fact, it weighs about the same as this knife right here. And it does the job for me. So, if you have any questions, email us at tmo@modernoutdoorsman.com. And we look forward to hearing from you.